right, so today I'm talking to Kishara Ninki, who has some amazing information about the recent or not so recent finds in Mexico, namely the towns of Tula de Allende and Ojuelos de Jalisco, that surprisingly take us back to the ancient Middle East, the Sumer civilization, and Egypt and other places. So I met Kishara only a few days ago online, and she presented a number of pictures that she stated were real pictures of real artifacts from Mexico that looked nothing like Maya, nothing like Aztec, but they all looked like what we are used to, seeing in Egypt and the Middle East, the Sumer and other places. So this was so amazing, and it actually blew me away. So I contacted her, and we kind of hit it off, I guess, on my end anyway. And so we decided to do this interview almost off the cuff, and she was very generous in first agreeing to do this, and also to actually prepare a little presentation / lecture / sharing of experience about this find, about these, a number of finds, series of finds in different places that are right now totally being neglected by the establishment, academia, and the governments of, well, namely Mexico, I guess, but also other governments. So how did this all start? Where did this come from? It's hard to believe it was even in Mexico, So yeah, go ahead.
It is fascinating the way this all kind of connects together, because there were actually several finds that kind of all happened around the same time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And with these artifacts, in the beginning, they basically had to keep it secret.
Wow.
Mexico doesn't want anything to do with these, and that's kind of a problem. It's part of the reason, in part, that these are being a bit pillaged. Anybody who finds them can do anything they want because they're not protected, because Mexico won't claim them. So for so many years, nobody found out anything. These very often were hidden. Once they found them, they were hidden because they would get taken away, or they would get destroyed, or something to that effect. Same thing you saw with Sumerian and Babylonian connected to the Anunnaki.
Right.
They did the same thing, and they're doing it right now with Eridu and Shuruppak. They go in, and because nobody claims it, it could just get destroyed. It's barely coming out now. And I mean barely. There have been no books on this. There's been no catalogs. Nobody's publicly come out because, one, in part, this stuff's supremely controversial. I mean, you can pick a side and it's going to hit controversy. Nobody in their right mind who wants to have a career in academia is going to hitch their tail to this.
Okay.
It's just, it's too controversial. This is a career destroyer.
Okay. Who is the team that is doing that right now? Is it private? Is it state?
Yeah.
And so on.
It is multiple private teams. And they're still digging. Right now, they have only gone about 12 to 17 feet in the various places they're digging. Because right now there's 2 locations in Mexico, but there's also Peru. There's also Ecuador.
Okay.
Because the whole Serpent Kingdom was found in Ecuador, which seems to also be connected to these artifacts. The first and foremost thing that people are going to ask is, how do you know they're not fake?
Right.
With these artifacts have that self-validation, shall we say,
Mm-hmm.
because they are phosphorus. under strong UV light. And
Okay.
this isn't the same type of phosphorus where you're like, well, they can fake that. We'll go out and buy some Day-Glo paint. No, no, no. That is an entirely different material than this stuff that glows. Only under the very strong, not common UV light. You can't just get your standard blue light, and that's not going to work. It has to be stronger. So that's one. Two, though, is that the actual artifacts emit an EMF.
Okay.
So when you go up to test these, you got a blue light, you read the frequency that's coming off the artifact, which each of them vary slightly. So if somebody were to try and fake these, it would take 5 seconds to go, no, that's fake. On top of that, they need to have all of this combined knowledge of multiple languages we're coming across. 3 of them we don't recognize. The other ones are like proto-hieroglyphs, proto-cuneiform. The hieroglyphs, man. I keep trying to put these together in the right way, but there's other glyphs that I've never seen. Now, granted, I'm not a linguist, I'm just a dirt digger, but these things, you're looking at the languages, and even the cuneiform doesn't quite translate right. So, as I said, there's multiple languages. This has the potential to be a Rosetta Stone, because we have 3 languages where it's like, I have no idea. But there's ancient Greek that looks like there's a presence of Canaanite. We have not translated Canaanite yet, but we see evidence of this Canaanite, which could be Phoenician or a combination thereof.
Okay.
So again, the potential for Rosetta Stone effect to happen here is marvelous. Outside of that, languages aside, multiple skulls of multiple species, bone specimens of non-human individuals, with the plethora of images of a variety of species, including, I would say, 5 or 6 different types of grays, a few different types of elongated skulls, these insectoid type people that I'm willing to bet the North Americans called the ant people. Also there are dog-headed people, feline-headed people, bird-headed people, where you're going, whoa, you guys had a party.
Okay. So let's then start to see what slides we can present and maybe talk about them as we go. Cool. So what are we looking at here? First of all, the beings are crazy.
Yes. See, this is one of the cool benefits by going, look, man, people today can't fake this because they don't know how to make this phosphorus effect that these people did, thousands of years ago. So what we're looking at here on the left side, my left side, the white one is the actual artifact. You turn off all the lights, you put it under strong UV light, and what's on the right is the phosphorus that is in the patina and all over this artifact. But with the naked eye, you don't see this.
Yeah. So what is this exactly? I mean, this object, is it like a medallion size? What is it?
And actually, this is roughly about 6 by 7, 6 by 8 maybe. So basically like a page out of half size book.
Okay. Wow. So it's like a page of a book.
Okay.
A stone book.
Yes. There are several stone books that were found. And that's something else we can get into, but I do have a few images of these stone books. Now in this particular one, what's very fascinating here is this guy here who's kneeling down, putting this offering to this central individual with this braided kind of tentacle beard thing. Yeah, I don't know what to call his species. He's fascinating. But he's got this pine cone, as we call it. The one in the hand he's offering out above the Thoth-looking individual, which is not quite Thoth, but see, I'm wondering if the guy holding the Sumerian handbag with the braided tentacles, with the pine cone, who looks like he's bestowing knowledge upon this bird-headed individual.
Right. Interesting. Wow.
There's so many things here. And now what brings it even more is this guy's skull is that same angle as you find as the Paracas skulls.
Yeah. The Homo capensis. Yeah. So the so-called, yes.
It's fascinating. It's there are so many of those skulls found in Peru, and to find images that are dating back so late, it is phenomenal.
First of all, where was this particular thing found?
This one is from Tula.
This is from Tula de Allende, and
this is honestly, this is not restrained to Mexico. It's going to cover. It still needs to expand out, but I guarantee you, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, Mexico, all of these places are going to have these similar artifacts. This is tip of the iceberg, and we are looking at thousands of artifacts. But you cannot help but see the connection with the Nazca mummies, that the whole investigation that Gaia did. You cannot help but see the connection with the Paracas skulls that Brian Forrester brought to light. And it's some of these are starting to just come through the surface. Some of these dug down for, some were found in caves. Some were arches, which those actually got destroyed. But, and I honestly think that if we go down and we hit that 30-foot mark, that this is going to turn into a whole new level, because right about 30 feet down is where we see the impact effect from a comet that hit Greenland. And this was a metallic core comet. And they find debris all the way down to Antarctica. This lines up with Younger Dryas.
Which is supposedly when Atlantis fell, right?
I think it's more than Atlantis. It was a global disaster, and it truly devastated I guess we'd say pre-ancient.
Right. Yeah. What I mean is the period, the time period is when the Younger Dryas is when, when it ended, basically. The Ice Age is basically connected to the time when we know
what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at these guys. He has a braided beard. It's an elongated skull. If you look at the Egyptian stuff, they all have elongated skulls with little like turbans or other hats there that cover them up. He's holding the proverbial pineal object, let's say, and a Anunnaki handbag. So can we safely say that this may be an artistic interpretation of the Anunnaki?
I think so. From what has been understood by me, is that the Anuna were multiple species. They were not just one species. Very much like the Council, multiple species. I realize some people today reference this Federation Council. I don't honestly know anything about this Federation Council, but in these artifacts, we also get references to a council of multiple species. So yes, as far as and this is just to clarify something, the Anunnaki were the Anuna who were born on Earth. This mistranslation that goes around, from the skies they came, is wholly incorrect. Wholly. There's not even the word sky in the word Anunnaki, which is not one word, but two. So Ki means Earth, not sky.
Yeah, Ki means Earth. We know that.
Yeah. Anuna of Earth. Yeah, both would be Anunnaki, but in Lil, Marduk, Enki would be Anuna.
So they would be Anuna not born on Earth, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else to say on this one?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Do you know the material this is made of?
I believe this one was quartz, but these are all stone and crystal artifacts. That none of these are made of anything else.
Yeah, this is an amazing piece. Now, just this one alone, if you find this and you prove it's real, it kind of breaks the whole paradigm. So what you're saying is, because most of us are not experts, this is not supposed to glow like this, right?
Not at all.
No, okay.
I will say there is one other set of artifacts that got quietly buried, and it was from Brazil, and it was called the Los Manos Caves artifacts. They were also phosphorus and they had a language we did not understand, dating to roughly 15,000 BC. Now, these were brought to light about 15 years ago and then vanished into the wind. But those artifacts in Brazil have a connection to these artifacts, which start to make it look like this is not a Mexico thing. This is not a Peru thing. This is a South America thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would be logical if they had this. Let's say they had the Atlantean civilization was somewhere on the, between North and South America somewhere. And it was an empire, and there was so much landmass in the north and the south that it would be logical to have, it spread out to all these places.
And they may have actually been closer than they are now, because it looks like the impact of these asteroids on Earth at the time frame that we see the Younger Dryas event, which I realize is more theoretical, but we see these multiple impacts right around 10,000 BC. We see this ice age begin, this mass extinction that happened, and evidence of global disaster. Now, the Atlantis thing, I know everybody references Plato. Okay, yes, we understand. Plato wrote some stuff down. But let's look at a few other things. People have just about memorized Plato. Okay, how about the Greeks? Let's go listen to the Greeks. Because the Greeks were like, oh yeah, the Atlanteans, they're jerks. And I think this is wholly overlooked. The Greek people, I have a friend who is Greek, and he told me about this, that the Greek people remember very specifically the Spartans and the Egyptians were fighting with the Atlanteans, against the Atlanteans, I should say, because the Atlanteans were trying to take over the whole planet.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they were bad. I'm saying, look, man, they were people. And these are some of the people we're talking about.
Okay, so these are also just for people to understand, because especially the guy in the middle with the Egyptian type hat. Just to reiterate, we are talking about something that was found in Mexico as an ancient artifact, right? And cleaned up, and this is what we see. And
one of the things people are going to ask straight away, because you're going to get a lot of people saying, these are fake, I can prove these are fake. Okay, no, you cannot carbon date stone, for everybody who's like yelling at the screen. No, but these are legitimately, you could look at these and think they were laser etched. And the patina that is the particles of dirt and debris that is caught in the lines from the point it was made to today, that is what we test.
Which has organic matter in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I will say the diamond shaped one and the bottom circular piece, I changed the colors a bit to help them pop a bit.
It's very interesting. First of all, we see at the top, we see two figures. One is very Sumerian with the handbag. The being is totally from that tradition, Mesopotamian tradition. Yes. Enki, probably. I mean, Enki type being, let's say. Then we see another dude on the right who is also has wings and also bearded, which is also Mesopotamian. And then we see a little alien here. With a tail. So, do you know what this is?
These little guys are all over the place with tails. In some cases, it is to represent somebody who came through a portal. With these two here, I think it has to do with genetics, because there's a lot of indicators in these artifacts of genetics, that they made people, they made animals, they crossbred things. And, you know, when you're looking at this, even when you look at Mesopotamian artifacts, they talk about how they genetically modified things, that for thousands of years they kind of flickered through a bunch of different species and went, what happens if, I think the duck-billed platypus was one. Somebody had to be drunk when they made that.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, it's a duck marsupial.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So when you read like the myth, the Sumerian story of the creation of the humans, like you see them like ripe and ready to create a being that they want. It's like they didn't, you know, come up with that yesterday. They just say, okay, I can do this, I can do that, you know. So they seem to have a lab there. Well, but it looks like he's either a pet or they're.
Now, what's interesting is that this could also be connected to the Ajiji. The Ajiji lived on Mars, and they were supposed to be, I mean, they were, it was supposed to be common knowledge at the time that the Ajiji were genetically altered, that they were made for their position and had continued alteration. As weird as this will sound, there was a movie that talked about how they used soldiers that were genetically altered and had put in like dog DNA and other DNA. Oh, and that seems to be what the Ajiji were.
Yeah, the dog DNA, I think, was in Jupiter Ascending.
Yes, that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So below here we see these beings like almost like laying down, but I guess this is because of the shape of this medallion or whatever it is. But also those are sitting. So if we
these guys, there's a few artifacts we've come across with these guys that look like they're basically underground. And I keep looking at this because, I mean, they don't seem to really say much except for these guys were underground. They're under the feet of people doing things. Okay. Now, this connection I often think of, and I don't have a way to prove this yet, but this seems to be one of those things that implies Agartha, underground civilizations, underground housing. We have so many stories in every culture about people who lived in the earth.
Sure. Or just an underground base, maybe because they couldn't live on the surface when they arrived. This particular race, they could.
I think that's I agree with you. I think that's why. I think because you have to consider gamma radiation. People who we're talking about, people who were raised under different stars, evolved under different types of stars, and for certain individuals, the gamma radiation is just too much.
The being with the tail, the small one that is being played with.
Yes.
Has the same head shape as the beings below him, right?
Yes.
So that may imply that, and also they have a strange pose there, that they're sitting in this pose, may also imply, artificial wombs, chambers to grow them, something like that.
Yeah, that is a possibility. I mean, when you start kind of branching off and you hear the stories about how so many of these species have fertility issues.
Okay, I'm fascinated with this image above it, with the Anubis type creature. Yes, kind of juggling. I don't know what this is. Planets, stars, something like that.
This is supremely fascinating with Anubis. One, it is part of this canine species that is talked about all across the planet throughout history. Whether you call them werewolves, whether you call them dogmen. In Scandinavia, there was a landmass that used to be called Doggerland. When you go to India, they talk about how they traded with the Maharajas in amber because the dogmen lived in the mountains and they mined the amber.
Yeah.
On top of that, Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Here, I mean, here in Russia, we also have we actually have them as a part of the religious tradition, where they talk about the dog-headed people, and some of them are actually in the religious art that we have now, and it's Christian. I mean, it's crazy, but it's part of the Christian art sometimes. Yeah, go ahead.
You look up Saint Christopher on the European depictions of Saint Christopher. He was a 7-foot-tall, dog-headed individual from India. Wow. And that's why his story becomes a patron saint of travelers. And God blessed him so much that he turned him into a human.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He was a dog man.
Yeah. So maybe someone turned him into a human in the records, not actually turned him into a human. Yeah, he was probably kind of acknowledged as one of them, not literally being turned into something else.
And if the Catholic Church wanted to go, no, we can't have this non-human species. We're calling them demons. We need to turn him into a man because God blessed him and brought him from beasthood to manhood.
Right. Okay. So what do you think he is above him? First of all, they kind of have a different color, and probably it's a different material.
These 3 objects are actually found on multiple objects, especially with the anything connected with the Anuna. These 3 represent, actually, this is a bit of a question, so I can't say that definitively. But what you normally see are representations of a 7-pointed star, a 4-pointed star, and this crescent moon shape. This one, though, is older than all of those previous depictions. So this is the oldest one we have of this system of 3, which I believe is their home system in Taurus. Because all of these people, I mean, look how many bulls you have all over the place. I realize everybody wants to stick the Anuna and every alien in either, they came from Orion. No, dude, they didn't come from Orion. Orion was part of the directions. But they try to put it, they came from Pleiades. Well, no, actually, Pleiades is also a reference to the bull, because the bull was so important. The heavenly bull, the Taurus, the Tauri. They didn't say the heavenly Pleiades. They didn't say the heavenly hunter. They said the heavenly bull.
Okay, so why these 3 objects then? What do they represent?
You go through the eye of Taurus. In that constellation, you find there's a red star.
Okay.
And I believe this is referencing something to their home system. I mean, one of these could be they could have a trinary system. This is something that is extremely important to them. They put on multiple artifacts in multiple countries, where they will reference this thing like it's very, very important. We're just not quite sure. We even find this on tarot cards.
So the Taurus constellation's alpha star is actually Aldebaran.
And we've heard that star referenced many times.
Yeah. And it's an orange star, actually.
And if we're looking at this thing right here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all right. So,
and it's one of those things that has lingered through. If you go to Wall Street, what do you see on Wall Street?
Yes.
A red-eyed bull.
Yep. Okay.
Now, a lot of people will equate that to something evil, because we need to take the religion out of this. Because there are people who look at that bull and they're like, you don't understand, it's evil. It's like, why is it evil? It's a bull
because of the golden
Taurus.
Because of the golden calf, and because of the Moloch being, and the Baal beings who are also bull-headed.
But those are just one section. I mean, we have bulls in Mesopotamia, we have bulls in Egypt, we have bulls in South America.
No.
So, I mean, we wouldn't look at humans and go, well, all humans are evil because of Napoleon.
Yeah, of course.
Napoleon did it, So, yeah, people do things, it's jacked up, we had somebody who was twisted who liked to cook people.
Right. The guys from the left and the right from this dog guy, from this dog being,
Yes.
look like what to you?
This is truly fascinating because both of these guys have suits on with helmets.
Yeah.
You know, and there are several points of reference in these artifacts that talk about them leaving or evacuating or something. And these two right here, they look like they're just waiting for the bus. I mean, they're like, we're ready to go. We're packed. Let's get going.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So the figurine image here that seems to be partially broken or something.
This one's also 8 to 10 inches. I need to get a better measurement on this.
Okay.
This guy, he wasn't terribly big. He looks like something you would put like on your fireplace.
Right. Like a decorative.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he was decorative, educational. They drew themselves a lot, but this guy right here, and it does seem a bit of a pattern that the skull he's holding has a longer, more elongated skull than his own.
Oh, so he's holding a skull here. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And it looks very similar to the Paracas skulls. You know, it's got that same angle. So it seems like the longer elongated skulls, just like you see with Akhenaten and Nefertiti and the Tut family, you have that nobility with those bigger skulls. You have big head people. Yes, they're in charge. You know.
And he doesn't look like your average Caucasian man, does he?
No, definitely not.
All right, cool. So do you know where this is from? Which site this is from?
All of these are a bit of a combination. I believe this guy was found in Jalisco.
Okay. Wow. All right, so let's go to the next one. The Egyptian looking, or not looking, maybe it's just, the same tradition, I guess. There is I think it's a deity type being, I guess. Yeah, would you say?
With the Egyptian connection, it looks like an implication of a sun god connection. Because, he's got that solar disk above his head, and that's usually a bit of a deity type thing. And now the Ankh is one of those things that's in this image that
the Ankh is like in your face. They even have two of them.
and this guy, now I know today we use it as this occult symbol that has a sacred meaning and all this stuff, but this guy's holding it around he stuck his arm through it. So I'm thinking it's not as sacred as it is today. He kind of looks like he's got a key that he put on his arm, and he's like, here, let me do my thing real quick, and then I'm gonna grab the key and open the door. It's got that practical implication. The kings at this time frame were warriors and priests, so they were expected to be very devout. And this guy right here, he's got the pharaoh's beard. I'm afraid I would very much like to speculate on where he's from, but I really need to translate this a bit more. Because, you've got cartouches in the background, and you've got this other, almost looks like early Greek, ancient Greek underneath him with some of these triangular shaped symbols.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough to say yet.
Okay. So how big is this particular object?
This one's smaller. This one's where you get to the 6 to 8 inches. It's again, page from a book.
I see. So just for people to reiterate, this was found in Mexico.
This one, Mexico, yes. I don't remember which city though.
Yeah, I know, but just for people to kind of, for it to sink in, to realize that this is actually from Mexico. This is not from
all
Egypt.
Of this Egyptian,
right? With all of this like blatantly Egyptian, symbolism and stuff. So if you show it to a school, student today, they would say this is Egyptian, right? This is like archetypal Egyptian stuff. There's like maybe 10 things about it that say it's Egyptian.
Correct.
Right.
And the thing that a lot of people look at Egypt and they reference Egypt for, it's so old. So no. Trust me, you're looking at the wrong place. There are much older records predating Egypt. I mean, technically, what's really fascinating is when they redated the Sphinx to 10,500, these artifacts line up in that same time frame as the Sphinx.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. And being on the right is...
This guy's fascinating. I love this guy. He's one of my favorites. I recolored this into black and white. It's not normally black and white. It's a bit more, yellowish. But I wanted to bring the details out because this guy's just marvelous. He is, as far as I've come across, the only depiction that we have of this insect-based people that I believe the North Americans called the ant people.
Yeah.
And what makes this guy even better is we have a skull. And that skull, I sent you the image of the skull.
Oh, okay.
It was the last image. That is the people that skull is connected to.
Okay. So you actually found a skull that is organic, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
It is a crazy different type of bone structure. We need to get it sequenced, and that is in the works.
Wow.
That one right there.
Amazing.
This guy is just a phenomenal skull. When you look at this, you would not think it was a species skull. It is the size of a human head. But when you're looking at this, I mean, we don't have a mandible. When you're looking at the sinus cavities, the orbital sockets, none of this makes sense for any type of mammalian species or even aquatic. You look at this and you're like, man, that's a bug. That's a big bug. I don't want to meet this bug.
Wow. So this is confirmed to be organic.
Yes.
You're
this
sure?
Is absolutely bone. Yes.
Oh my God.
It is very delicate. It's one of those things they're afraid to move because they don't want anything to happen to it, which I understand.
Wow.